Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for another live broadcast of SMTV on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Jonathan Sellers.
Very hot on Twitter right now. Some breaking news. Some updates to the platform, and it's pretty exciting because not only are the mobile apps a little bit different, but also the .com is slightly different. So let's walk through a couple of these. Have you seen these changes?
I have not, Duncan. Why don't you tell me about them?
I'd be happy to. Well, it was announced earlier today that the apps are now updated, especially the iPad app is really sharp looking, huge focus on mobile access to Twitter and within that photos. You can see you get these beautiful full screen views of photos. And also it affects the .com part of Twitter as well. Let's go take a look at a couple of these. So here's, they mentioned it on the Today Show, so all the Today Show personalities are updated. So here's Al Roker's. And what Twitter has done is created a header image, kind of like the cover photo on Facebook. And it's interesting. It's it's centered all in the middle here with the profile image you already have with your name, your handle, your description, which is already part of your Twitter profile here, and then of course your location and your URL. But it's an interesting look, and it's really not designed, I think, for the desktop version. It's really more designed for mobile so that you'll see this image across all platforms because the background doesn't appear. When you're on your phone, it's very difficult to see this background image here. So I think that is really where the focus is going because people are accessing Twitter on their phones and on their tablets anyway, so that's where the improvements are.
So Duncan, your early thoughts, do you like these changes? Are you thinking because everybody's going more mobile that this was a direction and a step they needed to take?
I think it's a great idea to enhance the mobile viewing of Twitter. I think the layout is still a little awkward for me, especially when you access it online on a desktop computer or a laptop computer, because the centered information here, the justified information, it's a little hard to read for me. But I can see where they're going. I think it makes a lot of sense for the mobile applications, and people are even finding creative ways to use that centered look. Ryan Seacrest has updated his, and he built it around having his profile image integrated into his header like a lot of people do with their profile image and their cover photo on Facebook.
Yeah, so definitely looks like background images on Twitter are not as important as they used to be. It's going to mean some definite graphical changes for any of these business owners out here who are active on Twitter communities. And also, it's interesting that Facebook is more usually seen as the visual medium, whereas Twitter is more about information. So it's going to be interesting to see if Twitter users have sort of any qualms or they don't, to see if they like the new format and change, whether or not they like how Twitter is going more visual.
Yeah, they definitely are going more visual, and it could be a really good thing because people are into photo sharing. We talk a lot about Instagram and Pinterest and how these platforms are really coming up in the ranks, and Twitter's trying to get a piece of that action, and it could be really good. I mean, we're seeing some really cool features on the new app, like being able to swipe through photo streams, some really neat stuff coming down the line. We also have a blog post coming out about all of these changes, kind of summarize what we talked about today, so keep an eye out for it on our sites. Remember, anytime you have a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss on the broadcast, please send it over to us.
As always, you can contact us a few different ways. For starters, you can email us at questions@splashmediau.com, or you can tweet a question to us by using the hashtag SMTVQuestions.
Florence wants to know, what is Reddit?
Florence, very good question. Reddit is like a huge forum where users put out new topical information and news, and it's content all provided by users, and basically content is ranked up or down whether or not it's enjoyed by people who read it, or if it's not enjoyed by people who read it, then they mark it down. But then Reddit is used to sort of share information, spread information, and it can be used as a question and answer forum. I mean, we were talking about how Larry King has used it, the president, Barack Obama has used it in different discussions on the site. And so it's a great forum. It can help you drive traffic. It's not one that we use every day typically, but it's a great forum to drive traffic if you're interested in using it. I don't personally like the user interface so much. It can seem a little complicated and antiquated, if you ask me. But Duncan, have you used Reddit? Have you liked it?
To be honest, I really haven't been on Reddit that much. I followed a couple of those conversations, like the big ones that are announced, like President Obama's. But I pulled up the screen here, and I think you're right. I mean, the interface itself can be a little overwhelming, a little intimidating, because it doesn't look like the user-friendly websites and social media sites we've come to know and love. But users swear by Reddit. And the interesting thing about this content, we talk about how business's social media content has got to be engaging, it's got to be interesting. The difference with the content on Reddit is that it's not necessarily commercial, it's not necessarily personal. It falls into that other category. On social media, on Facebook, for example, it's almost all either here's my personal status and here's my business status.
Right.
And if you can provide some interesting, really topical stuff in there, that's great, but that is all that this is, that Reddit is. It's only that topical, really interesting information, and if it's not, then it's going to be voted down.
And like you said, Duncan, Reddit does have a very loyal following. I know people who love using Reddit, love reading it every day, and because it's not easy, it's not user-friendly, so to speak, it's sort of difficult. It makes it's more interesting and engaging. It's not your normal, average website.
That can be appealing.
So
absolutely.
people like that part of it, and they like engaging with other people who like it for those same reasons. So, if you're interested in looking at Reddit, definitely check it out. Definitely.
Yeah.
Rajesh is new to this and emailed, in basic terms, how does social media marketing really work? What's the key for getting more reach?
That is the million-dollar question, Rajesh. I think the key to social media is going where your audience is. I mean, that's the key with marketing. I mean, the reason you buy ads and you do everything you're doing in your marketing campaign and your advertising campaigns is because you're going where your audience is. You're going where your customers are. And that's really the key behind businesses and social media. I mean, we could spend days talking about social media for individuals, but the key for businesses on social media is just going where people are. And people have embraced social media, and I think that's why businesses have to as well.
Also, you want to make sure you are looking at your own business and look at your customers and know where they are specifically, not necessarily just people in general, because there's millions of people on Twitter, there's millions of people on Facebook, but where are your customers specifically? That's what you really want to think about and focus on when you're developing your social media strategy, so that you can develop something that's going to be successful for you and your business, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Understanding your consumers, that's marketing 101. That's so important, and that hasn't changed on social media. Social media makes that same argument. You've got to understand your buyer. And I think to expand your reach, you've got to get your buyer to talk to you.
Right.
You've got to be approachable, you've got to be engaging, and the number one key to expanding your reach is get your buyer to talk to you, because when they do, that's how their friends find out. We often we talk about social media being word of mouth on steroids. We've used that phrase a lot, but that is really what it is.
It really
because all you have to do is mention something, post something, and your network will see it. It's so much easier than picking up the phone and call your neighbor and say, I just found this great new bakery, you have to check it out. Well, imagine having to do that, 500 times.
I know.
You don't now.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to.
It's really word of mouth, and you got to get your customers to talk back to you.
Sure, and a lot of people, forget, they just want to go with what the flavor of the month is. They think Facebook, oh man, I got to join it, or Twitter, oh, I got to join it.
Yeah.
Really consider where your customers are before you get involved, because that will save you tons of time in the long run.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Clay asked, are there any businesses that aren't right for social marketing? Oh, this is a perfect follow-up question. You want to start? And then
no,
you start.
Clay, I was going to say simply, there are no businesses that are bad for social marketing. Be quite honest. If you're open, anytime during the week, if you have a phone number and you have customers that you deal with, social marketing is there for you. We work with B2Bs, B2Cs, in all sorts of different verticals and industries when we've developed successful strategies for each one. So I would say, if you have a business and it's open anytime during the week, definitely log on social media and find where your customers hang out so that you can get the greatest value. But social marketing, I think, is for everybody. I mean,
I do too.
I mean, we have a boiler company.
We do.
I mean, that is extremely successful. You would think it's such a niche company that there would be no reason for social marketing, but sure enough, it's one of our most successful clients. So, Duncan, what would you say? would you agree with me that every business is right for social media?
I agree with you, and I've had a little bit of this argument before because I've worked with plenty of clients who don't see the value and whose consumers are not necessarily, who the majority of their consumers are not necessarily on social media. But here's where I would tack Clay's question onto Rajesh's question about increasing reach. Is it possible that you have a business where the majority of your audience, maybe 70, 80%, is not on social media? Yes. Is it possible that nobody in your potential target audience, in all of your demographics, anybody you're trying to reach out to, is it possible that none of them are searching online for you? No. Everybody is searching online. So whether or not you engage with all the social media platforms, or pick one, or you have an audience of a certain age range, or they're older, everybody is using a computer, they're using the internet to search for the business and the products and services that they need. So at the very least, something like a blog or video is going to help your business be found among those users.
And Duncan, if they're not doing it now, they're going to be doing it very soon.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's only a matter of time because social is growing every day. We're constantly, these sites are getting new users all the time with a lot of different interests, a lot of new things that they want to look and search for. So if you're not on now, it would be a great time to get a start because it's only going to grow from here. You know, the future is coming.
Why wait?
Of course, the future is coming.
Right. Even if your audience is maybe an older demographic that isn't on. Well, we should have a whole show devoted to the future of social media. We have a little crystal ball out on the table.
Right.
I think I see. Even if your audience is an older demographic, they're not necessarily all on Facebook. They're not Instagramming their photos of their grandchildren. Why wait until they're on social media before you get on there? Why don't you get on there now so that when they do join, they see you?
Yep, you're the first one they see.
Yep.
I would definitely agree. Sophia emailed us, do I need to use Instagram and Pinterest for my flower shop or just pick one and run with it?
I would start with Pinterest. If you're debating between these two, start with Pinterest. And I'll pull up a search now. There's so many great things on Pinterest about a wide range of topics, and including flowers and decorations. And this is a huge industry on Pinterest here. And you can see just the variety and sheer number of pins here on the site. So I would definitely start here. This will increase the traffic to your site. And it'll get people talking about your unique designs. And if you can help your business stand out a little bit from everything else you see here, even better. If you have something unique to offer, that's the kind of stuff you want to pin. I think I would save Instagram maybe for a little ways down the road.
Sophia, there's one important point too that Duncan did not make, and that is Instagram is only accessible from a smartphone or tablet. It is not accessible from the internet, so to speak. I mean, you can share photos via Twitter and Facebook through Instagram, and then once you click on the photo, it will appear on one page that will just display that photo, but you cannot log into Instagram via the web. So that's an important part, and that really Pinterest is accessible through both.
Yes.
And so there's a lot more users going to Pinterest than there are at Instagram. There's a lot more users on Pinterest than there are on Instagram. So I'd definitely go to Pinterest for that reason alone.
Right. I think there are two sides to the Instagram argument.
Right.
If you want a social platform where a lot of people are sharing photos, great. If you have someone who can dedicate their time to social media and wants to bring Instagram under your flower shop social media umbrella, great. Go for it. But if you're just looking for a way to kind of Polaroid, can I use that as a verb?
Sure.
Polaroid your photos. There are other sites that'll do that. You can use very simple filters through very user-friendly programs that'll do some simple graphics for you, and sites online that are just dedicated for applying these great-looking filters that give your photo sort of a vintage look. So you can do that separate from Instagram and then upload them to a site like Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I totally agree with you there.
Well, that's going to do it for today. That was a full packed show.
I know. Hey, we were into it. We were talking, and that was a good one.
Make sure you tune in each and every day right here at 12:30 p.m. Central Time and see if we've chosen your question to answer on the broadcast. For Splash Media, I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Jonathan Sellers. Thank you for watching.